Hello, all you amazing, sensitive people. Today's topic is going to be about the energy field around your body, and I'm going to talk a little bit of science about it, and then I'm going to talk a lot more about what you can do to help yourself with it. Stay tuned to hear more. This is Anastasia. I used to be a physics professor specializing in vibrational and quantum physics. After recovering from a serious illness using energy healing on myself, the calling to heal became so strong that I had to quit my 40-year research career. I replaced my 6-figure professor's salary within 5 months using a simple but not easy 3-step system that I worked out to grow my healing practice. Now I help other healers grow their practices, whether they're just starting or already have a practice, with this same 3-step system. I'm all about helping you too. Listen in to learn more. I'm so glad you're back. So today I'm going to talk about your energy field, the field that's around you. I've covered this a little bit and more about how to clean it, how to keep it intact, but there's actually a science behind it. For those of you that are really sensitive, you know that you can feel the various layers. So there are several layers on your energy field depending on where in your body that information comes from, right? Because it's just emanating out. It's also information going in. There's an exchange there. Just like the cell wall in your cells, there's an exchange of information and stuff goes out and stuff comes in, right? Nourishment goes in and waste goes out, but also information goes in and information goes out, just like on the edges of your body field. So the body field was actually scientifically discovered about 100 years ago. In the 1920s and 30s, Dr. Harold Burr used a very simple instrument to measure the extent of the field around embryos, around live small animals, and he noted several things. And this is what's going to be important for you to recognize how much power you have over your health and over your well-being, right? So the first thing is that when he measured the energy field around an embryo, now remember, an embryo is just a little tiny sphere. It is a fertilized egg, for example. So he measured the field around an embryo and discovered that the field, remember, these are really simple instruments. They're not the sophisticated instruments that we have now almost 100 years later. So he measured that energy field and discovered it was the size of the adult. So, for example, in a salamander, he measured around a salamander and he noticed like this weird, bizarre, large shape. And when he started rolling around the embryo, he then got it symmetrical, so it showed the adult shape of the salamander. And he marked along the egg where, he marked on the egg when it became symmetrical around both sides. And as the embryo grew, he discovered that that was where the spinal cord came in. So even though it looks like this little tiny, couple-celled embryo, it had all of the information already in there energetically. And how can that be? That does not make any sense from a physics perspective from the large-scale world that we know. So biology is a lot more mysterious than you previously thought, right? Because if you have a little sphere of something, there should be a little spherical energy field around it, not a field the size of the adult. And as he progressed in his measurements, as the embryos grew, he discovered that the embryo grew into the field. right? So it meant that that was the adult size. So for those of you that have carried babies in your belly, you know how it feels when you are pregnant. It feels like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You feel like your body's not your own until you expel that little being out of you. And that's because you have a full grown energy field inside you. So there is something going on, right? And that means that the adult is already there. So this is just some of the thinking that I do. It poses really interesting questions about what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So the field is already there around you, and that even when you're a fertilized egg, and that you grow into it, right? So that's an interesting energy pattern and an interesting concept. So here are some other things that he discovered. He purposefully introduced cancer cells into some of these little creatures and then measured the energy field around the little animals, whichever they were, whether they were frogs or salamanders or mice. Right? And he noticed that the energy field around the mouse, for example, would shrink immediately upon injection of the cancer cells. But the cancer didn't manifest itself until a lot later. So that means there is a lag time between what you read energetically in a field and what actually happens. So, for example, imagine this. You get sick, right? You contract, let's say, a virus, right? And you're exposed to it. There's a lag time between what's happening in your energy field and the physical manifestation. That's what they basically call the incubation period. And not everybody gets sick. So a lot of the healers that have learned from me, we stay in touch, right? We're in contact with one another. We've become friends over the years. And a lot of them have done healing on people that were exposed to like the COVID virus and noticed that those people did not get sick. I slept next to my husband who had COVID and I never got it because every day I would do these energy exercises. So here are some of them that you can do, right? As soon as you're exposed to anything, you imagine that, and some of you can even see and feel where the field has shrunk, right? In the case of COVID, it would be in the sinus area, the throat, and the lungs, right? So now you're going to fill in your energy field and re-energize those areas. Right? So you can just imagine that you've got some golden plaster and it's for healing, right? It's golden healing plaster. And you're going to fill in your energy field. Like as I'm doing this right now, I can actually feel the action on my energy field. What you do is you just bring yourself right here in front of you to work on it. You don't have to like plaster from behind, right? And another thing to do is every day clean your energy field out, right? So there are different ways to do it. The way I do it, I learned this, it's a pranic healing technique, is you have your energy field in front of you and you just run your fingers gently down. It's starting from the middle and you start working your way out and around and do the same thing on the back side, right? So clean this all out, and as you clean, you throw the poopy energy that you've collected in your fingers out so you don't keep reinfecting yourself. You can clap it away, you can use an aura spray or some such thing, and then make sure that the whole thing is filled in, right? Just use your golden plaster and fill the whole thing in. So you help keep your energy field intact, and this is something you need to do daily, just like brushing your teeth daily, just like, showering. I take a salt shower every morning. I've done that already. You can see my hair is like fluffy and clean, even though it's old hair, right? So you do your daily hygiene, you still have to do your energy hygiene. The other is to make sure that you keep, like we healers, people glom onto us, they connect to us because they're not feeling good and they go, oh, Dr. Anastasia can make me feel better, right? So you need to disconnect, right? And have them contact you and have like either have them text you and they say, I'm not feeling good, and then you do your thing and then done. You cut the cords, right? So you make sure that your cords are cut and your energy field is filled in and that you re-energize your body, right? You can stand out in the sun. You can imagine nice, clean, vibrant green and or rich brown earth energy come up through your legs and clean out your meridians. You can also bring bright golden light in through the top of your head, down the back, up the front, clean everything out and allow it to clean your energy field. So your energy field is really important, and it was discovered scientifically how important it is that if, for example, the mouse, his energy field then was intact later on, it didn't get cancer. But if it stayed like that, the cancer actually developed. And I thought these series of experiments on the energy field are really, really important for us to understand how important our energy field is, its protection. It also helps what's going on in the body to run efficiently. And I'm just looking at my notes here. And you can control your energy field using your mind, right? So if you imagine that you pull in your energy field, like if you're going into a crowd, pulling it in is really helpful because you will then contact fewer peoples and pick up their stuff. Because when, as I've mentioned before, the normal distance apart for people that don't know each other very well, the more normal distance apart of speaking is we don't get up to one another's face and speak within a couple of feet. We stand about 5 to 6 feet apart because that means that our energy fields are just barely touching and not intertwined. When you are more intimate, meaning that your friendship is deeper or it is your special someone, you tend to, or your children or your parents or your family or your close friends, you will then tend to come together closer, sit closer, hug each other, even handshakes, right? Because the handshake means that you've gotten close enough, right? You're not handshaking with your arm extended, you're handshaking with it down close to you, right? That means that you trust the person more, and intertwining energy fields is not nearly as threatening to you as someone you don't know. And you can also read them, especially if you're sensitive and intuitive, you can also read them whether it's safe to be with them. And then, of course, after you leave, you can give them their energy back and, help release whatever you absorbed from somebody else, because it's usually not harmonic with your field, right? Because you have your own frequency compared to someone else. And so I'm just saying that you can control it. So if you imagine yourself to be pulled in, just have the thought pull into 18 inches, your energy field will tighten up and get closer to you. And then if you imagine it to be relaxed, right, I usually do a gesture, relax when you come home where you feel safe, and it will then expand out to its normal extent. And a larger energy field will hold more energy, so you can also imagine it expanding in order to connect to spirit, for example. So, you can imagine it growing, expand out to the size of the room and up to the roof, and then again, next breath, expand out to the size of your whole home and expand up up to the top of the telephone poles, and then next expand out to your city block, and then up to the clouds, and now expand out to the size of your city, and then up even higher than that. And as you expand, you imagine you collecting more and more light, right? And also that you're connecting up to spirit. And this is a good way to meditate, right? And connect up to spirit. Send down a grounding cord, send an anchor up to spirit, and imagine your field being that big. Now, the more energy, so just so you know, this is one way of allowing more income to come in, for example, or to allow more love to come into your life, or to allow more golden healing light to come into you. So this is a good way to do it. Do it at the beach, put your feet in the salty water if you live near the ocean, or into the lake water if you live near a lake or a river, and imagine the sun coming through and you expanding your field out, especially in nature. It's very, very soothing, very healing, and very helpful, and it is a way to keep your energy field intact, whole, and healthy. So I hope that was helpful, talking about the science, the scientific discovery of your body field, your energy field. He called it the L field. Dr. Harold Burr called it the L field, but his experiments are actually instrumental for you to understand how important your field is to your health, your wealth, and your happiness. Okay, I look forward. That's all for today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much for taking valuable time out of your day to listen in. If you found this message helpful, please help spread the word by giving the broadcast a thumbs up or a 5-star rating. Share it with your friends, and be sure to subscribe to my channel with your notifications on. For further training on healing and growing your healing business using my 3-step system, go to www.highpaidhealers.com. And I'll see you in the next video.